If you want to see what our law enforcement officers are dealing with every single day along the southern border, take a look at this. Pictures released by the DEA Los Angeles Field Division showing the seizure of roughly 1 million fentanyl pills. The pills, which have reported links with the Sinaloa cartel. I'm not all that familiar with these cartels, folks, I got to tell you. But they're intended for retail distribution and have an estimated street value of about $20 million. Here to discuss, Wisconsin Representative Scott Fitzgerald. Congressman, give me your thought on why should people be concerned about this? We know they're coming across the border. We know that's down to the southern border, but you're up north. Why does it matter to the rest of the country as well?
Well, Bob, it's good to be with you. I've been to that San Diego sector touring with other members of Congress, members of the Judiciary Committee. And if you talk to both Border Patrol as well as Homeland Security, they'll lay out for you very clearly how these drugs make their way literally across the country. And in many cases, it's going, unfortunately, right into the state of Colorado through Denver. It then is picked up and is dispersed really right across the interstates. I mean, we've seen it in Wisconsin where you'll have these drugs being delivered on I-90, I-94, and they make their way directly into our communities. And that's why the concern about the border is so significant, because you can absolutely track this fentanyl being distributed nationwide.
Yeah, in fact, Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody sent a letter to the president calling fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction. Here's what she wrote. For the first time in this country's history, more than 100,000 Americans died from drug overdoses. More than 75,000 of those overdose deaths were primarily fentanyl. She went on to say, in the nearly 2 years that your administration has been in office, you have done little to abate this American tragedy. Indeed, many of your policies have exacerbated the death toll, needlessly wasting America's youth. So what do you think the White House should be doing about this, Congressman?
Well, what we've seen as of late is that there's still kind of a denial that the fentanyl epidemic is really taking hold at the level that is being reported even by our own DEA. And what I would say to that is certainly when you're at the border in San Diego and these drugs are being smuggled across, and as you referred to and as what you showed earlier, 200 pounds of fentanyl is so deadly that even if it's dispersed and distributed through other drugs and other methods, it could be somebody simply smoking marijuana, or certainly what we saw was just bags and bags of cocaine that also was laced with fentanyl. There's unwilling individuals that simply think they're participating in a recreational drug, and the next thing you know, they're in complete cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the White House needs to be better engaged, further engaged, and just getting the word out there, specifically through DOJ, to say, listen, local law enforcement and certainly what we've seen in sheriff's departments, they need to be better educated on what this is. A lot of this fentanyl is actually manufactured in a way that mimics other prescription drugs. We saw bags and bags and bags of this in San Diego, because it's one of the easier ways to smuggle these drugs in, is to say they're legitimate prescription drugs. So we're very concerned. Judiciary has been down to the southern border. We've also been to McAllen, Texas. We saw the same thing going on down there. But unless both Homeland Security and the Border Patrol and DEA can put together a plan to stop this, it's simply going to continue to damage our communities.
Congressman, are there representatives on the other side of the aisle that are concerned about this also? Because it does seem like the Biden administration kind of doesn't want to talk about these things.
Well, I think, unfortunately, admitting that there's a fentanyl issue and a smuggling of drugs across the border puts them in a position of having to admit that the border right now is out of control.
Right.
And politically for them, there's just an unwillingness to really embrace that whole idea. And I'm not sure exactly why some of these members think that that's a winner politically either, to be honest with you. But as we've seen, the unchecked immigration that continues on a daily basis at the southern border, and Homeland Security, I think, does a good job of showing what they've confiscated. It's just alarming when you talk to local law enforcement, whether it's sheriff's departments down on the border or others that say, you know, don't just focus on the immigration, focus on what these people are bringing across the border.
Yeah. Congressman Fitzgerald, thank you so much, sir.